Hello, everyone. So, one of our viewers last week called me the most laid-back Game of Thrones theorist there is, and I kind of have to agree. That being said, we just had a wonderful live stream this afternoon with our special guest Nex of Game of Theories, and he proposed a few things regarding the Night's King. And I'm going to take an opportunity to reply to some of those questions, because my mind was kind of blown earlier by what he said. So the first thing I'm going to jump on here is going to be, is Bran the Night's King or the Night King? The book and the show kind of mix that up a little bit. Potentially, I think he actually might be. It's a pretty cool idea. There's a question that I had that I'm going to kind of throw back at Nex here, and that is when the Three-Eyed Raven says to Bran, "You won't walk again, but you will fly." The question I'm wondering about is when we see the Night King being made, he's standing. I mean, he's tied up, so granted he could be propped, but he's standing. And Nex had this great idea that Bran physically transports to those areas in the past, whether it's as Bran the Builder. Such an amazing concept that, of course, he's Bran the Builder. He knows every brick in Winterfell. He knows where all of those things are, and because he intimately has an understanding of the entire structure of Winterfell, because he's climbed every part of it. I mean, that was just when Nex said that, I was just like, dude, you rocked with that one. You totally got it. So here's to you. Regarding a few other points, does he physically travel to the past? Is it actually him there? Again, interesting concept. It certainly could be. What does that mean in terms of the show? And what does that mean in terms of Bran? It means that Bran actually has changed the past, but as we were discussing on our live stream earlier, here's a guy who goes to the past, but what's occurred has already occurred. So George R. R. Martin has set up quite the time loop here. And that kind of makes it a little interesting, a little different as far as what we do and don't get. So, who is in the past? Is that an adult Bran or an older Bran that we see who is getting transformed into the Night King? Yeah, it could be. Here's a bigger question, though. Why? Is he being transformed against his will? Or is he getting transformed because he wants to? This is kind of what we're up against at the moment. And that's because what we see is that Bran potentially knows everything that's gone on. He has the ability to travel in time and view everything that's happened. So if he's gone back in time and he indeed knows that these things have to occur, as the Three-Eyed Raven or Three-Eyed has stated, these things are already written. Bran realizes that he now has to go into the past and he has to ensure that those things occur. He has to make sure that each and every one of those things happen. Some of them, I think, such as him urging the Mad King to burn them all, may have been done by mistake, by him trying to go into the past and save everything. But once he realizes he has that power and that impact on everything in the past, he's actually going to go into the past and have to make sure that certain fixed points in time... Yeah, I watch a lot of Doctor Who. And I'm an old school Doctor Who fan. I watched John Pertwee and Tom Baker back in the day. So, those fixed points in time, Bran has to appear at. He has to make sure that those things happen. And this makes him one of the most tragic characters ever put into a novel. When we were talking earlier about potentially what a bittersweet ending, what might that bittersweet ending be? And here it is. I'm going to be the first person to say it. The bittersweet ending is that even though many of the things happen, that the White Walkers are stopped, blah blah blah, Cersei's put down, whatever you might want to think as the good things going on, the good things, they fought the good fight. What we're going to see happen is that both good and bad, Bran is going to have to go into the past, and he's going to have to be the one that makes sure that each and every one of those things happens. He's going to have to make sure that his father's distracted and gets captured and then gets killed, or has his head cut off. He's going to have to make sure that his uncle and his grandfather, who he never met, are burned alive by the Mad King. He's going to have to go into the past and make sure that each and every one of these things, including all of those mythological stories that Old Nan told him over the years. And let's be sure that we realize Old Nan has been the most accurate historian on the show. Virtually every single thing that she's talked about has come true at some point, or we realize has probably occurred. So Bran, sitting there with her for all that time, has gained all that knowledge above and beyond what he can actually go into the past and view. Those two things in combination are going to lead him to be essentially the caretaker of history. He's going to have to be that individual who goes into the past, makes sure that that all of these great points happen, good and bad. For every positive thing that Bran is going to see, he's going to be hit with a major tragedy. And some of these tragedies, not only is he just going to view them in the way that the three-eyed raven, the blood raven, was able to, he's going to have to interact to make them happen. He is going to have to be that primal force of action that sets each and every one of these things into motion. Bran is not only going to be the savior, he's going to be the evil, or the bad guy. He's also going to be the great other, I think. Ultimately, he's going to be that which speaks to the priests and priestesses through the flames. One thing that we've kind of learned is that George R.R. Martin doesn't really have the highest view of religion, and on the show, he and in the books, many of the faiths don't really work. Several do. We get the idea that some of them, like the faith of the Red Priestesses, they're able to hear things, they're able to see things, but others are not. The High Sparrow, for all of his religious faith, for his fervor, and for the fervor of his followers, really didn't seem to have an actual connection or receive any signaling or anything from the seven. His followers followed him, but there was nothing going on there. It was empty. So what do we think is going to really happen? Which one is there going to be? And what it's going to be is that Bran is the one who's had to go into the past and speak to all these people, to bring them together, to make this all happen, because it's already been written. It's foretold. He's kind of at the center of that spiral that we're all talking about. And just like the Faceless Men say, Bran's the many-faced God. All seven, remember the seven, all seven arms of that spiral all spiral into one thing. That one thing is the many-faced God that they all worship, that ultimately all gods are in the world of ice and fire. And all of those seven things, as I believe we're going to find out, are going to be Bran. So, here's to everybody. Those are my first set of replies to Nex regarding several of the questions that we raised in the live stream today. If you have any questions for me, please leave them in the area below. And I hope that we get to do this more often. It was fun. This is my first live video, so outside of our streams. And if you have any questions or any comments, I'd love to hear them. So here's to y'all. Have a great night.